Closed captioning for A Piece of the Woods was made possible by Schroeder Log Home Supply, providing for the log builders for 20 years. Underwriting for A Piece of the Woods was brought to you by Tenonizer Technology, 25 years providing the log industry equipment and techniques to simplify perfection. Great Woods Cabinetry, providing custom cabinetry and more to the Twin Cities and now everywhere, from online to on-site. From Minnesota, an online resource for log enthusiasts. And Quality Manufacturing, building quality portable sawmills is in their reputation.
Today we are going to be making log handrail. This is going to be a good example of centerline design. The wood species we're going to be using is jack pine. Now we're going to give this project a skill rating of a 1, but because of the installation we're going to give it a 2.5. Is that right? That was pretty close. Anyhow, let's go see if we can find the wood that we need. Where else? In the woods. Behind me you see just an excellent stand of jack pine. Nice tight stand, minimum taper on the trees. This is just an excellent wood for building our log handrail with. Now, our best time for cutting, spring of the year, April through June, when the sap's flowing, sap's moving through the trees, it debarks much easier. And we also have on the surface of the tree then, we've got our winter growth, which is a very hard, it's the dense layer of the tree, much harder. Makes a better finished product. Now, we would be cutting today, but it's fall, so we can't. So we're going to pull from our inventory that we cut this last spring, and maybe even last spring, but that's what we're going to be making our project with, which also brings us to our hint for the day. Well, for our hint for the day, I'd like to be able to say cut it today, use it tomorrow, but that's just not the case. As you see here, we've got quite a bit of wood sitting around here. Now, most everything is 6 months to a year before we use it from the time that it's cut. As long as it's protected under a roof, getting drier, it's just getting better. So make plans. You got to plan ahead. Now, at this point, we've got about 400 questions as far as how the rail's going to be mounted, where it's going to go, or what's the slope of the stairway, and there's all this stuff that we don't know yet. So we've got to go up to the job site, measure all this stuff before we'll bring material into the shop and start cutting. So let's go up and start measuring.
Whenever possible, I like to use a half-lap post to mount the log handrail. That's a post where a notch is cut on the bottom 9 inches to mount the post to the side of the loft floor. But that requires proper backing. And the backing didn't quite get into here like it was supposed to, so we're going to have to use an alternate post mounting method. Of course, we will still take every measurement from the exact center of one post to the exact center of the next post. Each end post center will still be 5 inches from the wall. But each post will center 3.5 inches in from the edge of our loft floor. And the post at the top of the stairway will still center at the outside edge of the stairway.
Well, we've got all our numbers for our handrail, and we're ready to start cutting just as soon as we grab some material from the other building. what we're after first is our spindle material. Now this is product that was harvested, let's see, this year, must be about 7-8 months ago now. So it's had a good time to dry under the roof here. And it gets a lot of airflow up here. This works really good for our storage. The material dries down fairly fast up here. You're not going to be able to just cut material one day and then build something out of it the next. It's, for the most part, that isn't going to work. It's going to have to get dry. Moisture content on the jack pine when it's fresh cut, let's say it this way, if it weighs 50 pounds when it's wet, it's going to weigh 25 pounds when it's dry, ready to use. That's a good way to measure the moisture by weight. Well, that should be enough of our spindle material. Now we'll grab our rail stock. Well, we've got the last of our spindles in here now, and we're ready to start cutting things to length. Now we've arranged our chop saw so that we've got a stop on it for the spindles. Since they're all 30 inches long, we can just clip the end off, bump it up against the stop, and each spindle will be exactly 30 inches long. So it matches up with our handrail that is 30 inches center to center. 30 inches from the center of the top rail to 30 inches center on the bottom rail. Well, that's the last of our spindles. We're ready to go back to the book and pull the numbers for our rail sections and start cutting those to length. Now what we're going to do here is we are going to drill a hole in the end of our workpiece on this machine here, and this will put a hole going in full depth of the drill bit, turn the part around, and we'll run it into the full depth of the drill bit, and this hole that goes in the wood is going to be just like it went right straight all the way through. So we're going to be working with our center line design concept right to the limit, so that the tenon cut on this end of the workpiece is going to be directly in line with the tenon on the opposite end of the workpiece. The more refined your piece of furniture, the more critical it is that one tenon be directly in line with the other. Well, that's the last of our rails. Now we'll adjust the tenon cutter for the size of our tenon on our spindles, and we'll start it up again then. We've got that just about perfect, but I'm going to make it another maybe 15 thousandths larger. And then I'll cut the tenons on all those spindles. But while I'm cutting those up, maybe you'd like to go over and see what Bobby has for you today.
Well, thanks, Mike. I thought today we could concentrate on stinging nettle and jewelweed, so I hope you have them both because we're going to go on out and find them. Oh, we found some jewelweed. You see this nice bright orange flower, golden flower. It's also called spotted touch-me-not, and this typically grows in close proximity to poison ivy and stinging nettle, because if you brush across poison ivy and stinging nettle, you can grab the plant and kind of make a juice with the leaves and the flowers, and you rub it on yourself, and that helps take away the sting. So I'm glad we found some jewelweed. So now we're going to go look for stinging nettle and hopefully find some poison ivy also. Oh, look it, we found stinging nettle. See these gorgeous, healthy plants? Now the stinging nettle, it stings you. That's why it's called stinging nettle. If you brush your hand down this way, you're going to get the little burrs on you. It actually releases oil. You get it on your skin and then you sting. But if you tend to move your hand in an upright position, you go against the burrs so you can easily break off a top. Stinging nettle this is wonderful for steaming. It tastes like spinach. It makes an excellent tea. It's very high in iron, protein, like vitamin C, your other vitamins and minerals. And when I dry, I actually will cut the plant down lower and have all these stalks, and I once again hang them upside down so they dry. Then after about 3-4 days when they're dry, I'll just take my hand and just run it down, and it takes all the leaves off and all the flowers, and I put them in my jars. You can make a tincture out of stinging nettle with the fresh leaves and the fresh flowers. It's just a wonderful tonic. It's a slow-acting tonic, but it is very helpful for your endocrine system, your urinary system, your circulatory system. This is a mild cayenne. It's invigorating, and if you do get in a patch of stinging nettle and you start itching, because you're going to itch, you're going to kind of burn for a number of minutes, and you have the jewelweed close by, once again we just take the jewelweed, try to masticate it, break it up to release the oils, and rub it. Rub it wherever you were exposed to the stinging nettles where you have a little bit of a burn. So you can pick the stinging nettle. You can use the tops of the plant from spring all the way into the fall, like the top 5-6 inches. So this again is one of my absolute favorite plants that I use, especially for teas and making a tincture. Here we have the poison ivy, and I'll point with my pointer. It's always 3 leaves, and they're pointed, and they tend to droop down a little bit, if you can see that. If you had access to jewelweed, and if you got the oil from the poison ivy on you, you could take the jewelweed plant, crush the leaves, rub it up and down wherever you've been affected, and that'll help. Since herbs and other plants can look so similar to poisonous ones, it's always important to have 2 or 3 cross-reference books with good illustrations so you can make sure that you're identifying the proper plant that you want to identify, so there's no problem with accidentally picking a poisonous one. So until next time, bye-bye.
Into the Woods was made possible by Quality Manufacturing.
Well, I've just been informed that I can't put this much character into their house, so we're going to set this one aside for another very special purpose and go to our rail sections, and we're going to start with the spindle spacing. Now this first section of rail that we're going to do is 82 inches long, but we can't really make it 82 inches long. We're going to make it 78 inches. So 82 is out, 78 is in, and we'll go show you why. All right, this is what we've got. We measure our handrail to the exact center of the post, but the post is a bigger diameter than our spindles, and we want the spacing here to be equal to the spacing here. Now the rail we're working with ends up being 6 inches center to center. Center in one spindle, the center of the next 6 inches, but from the center here to the end, we want the space to be the same. So what we're going to do, we're going to subtract 2 inches off of our rail length, so that from that 2-inch mark to the edge of our post will be
well, it'll make it be so that our space here equals here. So we're just going to scratch 2 inches off of our rail back at the shop. Okay? All right, now we're going to take the 2 inches off of each end of our 82-inch piece here and make it 78 instead. Very good. 2 inches there. And we have to set this so that we put the big end of the workpiece always to the left and the bow of the workpiece always towards the fence. And we'll take a look at this here and see which way the bow is here. Let's go right there. We'll set it down in our block and lock it in at our 2-inch mark. Lock in the other end. Now our paper here on our spindle spacing, we find 78 inches on here and go through here, and we need to keep as close to 6 as possible, and with 78 inches, of course, we come out exactly 78. So we can mark this out on our workpiece now. Well, we've measured twice, marked twice, but we got it right. It's really hard to glue it back together if you drill a hole in the wrong place. We've got this set, so we're going to be drilling, as far as the drill depth, we're going to go a 1/2 inch past center. That'll give us a little bit of room to work with as we assemble the part. And this is one of the few instances where we are going to follow the center of the workpiece versus the exact center of the material. That'll let us use this more unique handrail material. Here's one of our handrail posts. It's 42 inches in length. Our hole centers are 6 inches, 36, 42 total length. The distance from our edge of our block here to the center of our post is equal to the distance from the fence to the center of our drill bit line of travel. So we'll set it at 6 inches along the fence here for the first hole. Since this is centerline design, we can just take our post, turn it 90 degrees, set it back at 36 inches, and it's ready for the next hole, for our corner post. This is our through post, so we can just rotate this 180 degrees, set it back at 6 inches, and drill it all the way through. Perfect, huh? Well, we'll finish assembling the rest of the rail sections. And then we'll have to go find Josh. And you can come with us and join us out at the job site when we get the rest of these together. Okay. So we'll see you out there. We're back at the job site now, and we have completed just about the entire handrail construction was completed at the shop. And now we should be able to go through and just install, each piece where it goes, and there should be no required cutting out here. It should be all completed. We've got 4 posts that we could use in this spot right here that have just a hole drilled top and bottom for the top and bottom rails, and an end post. There's 4 that would fit here, but the one that I'm going to choose for this place
is the one that's going to be the straightest and match up the best for our rail going down the stairway. This is our...
I told him it's a carpet on a stick.
It's a carpet on a stick, yeah, it is. For our delicate adjustments as needed. No, actually it's just for driving it together without leaving any marks. The dead blow hammer, if we hit the wood, could leave a dent, but with the carpet pad, we can give it a little snug there. And oops. Good thing I'm not a doctor.
See how crooked this railing is? Isn't that amazing?
No, I should say something about that.
It's really crooked. I just noticed that.
Yeah. Well, we used to, I mean, we sell all sorts of wood. You know, we sell lots of, you know, material for handrail, and people would pick through all the piles and choose out the straightest, best, most beautiful stuff. And we used to get kind of ticked off about that. But we found that the rail that they left us that is like this here, it's got these little curves and all this unique character to it, that ended up being the most beautiful rail of all once we figured out how to actually build it into handrail. That is really classy with all those curves like that. It is nice.
How did they do that?
You see now in this hole where part of this rail is in the way here, we're going to take and pop this post off and clip the corner of that so that the rail coming in here won't hit it and be in the way. Okay, yes, that's better. Another post to go down on the very end. We have, of course, the big end of the rail here, small end there, and then the bottom rail is alternated, always alternated. So we have the small end here and the big end down that way. So they all blend and grow together. Now another thing that we have done is all of this rail is glued together except for this joint right here and this joint right here, so that as we come to actually do the final assembly of putting the post on the ends of the rail, if there is a slight difference of the spacing, you know, we're at 30 inches center to center, but say if it was right now 30 1/16, we could squish that just enough with the two glue joints that are not glued or alternated that we skipped, then we can still fit it together.
You may want to put your toe under that one when you hit it.
Just a minute, we're going to get this one first.
I understand, but if you hit that and it vibrates and falls down, I'm not going to do anything.
Okay.
I'm just going to laugh.
Don't do that, no laughing. The space that we've left here for the carpet, and with the aluminum plates that are fastened on here, of course, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these Torx head screws that are 5 5/8 inches long. They come all the way up to here. This makes this an invincible kind of a joint. You cannot break that. And then, now down at the floor here, you can see where our plate is, and we're ready to put the screws in here. But we'll put the carpet layer, we'll put the tack strip right along the edge, and put the pad down to come up to the tack strip, and then come across with the carpet, and this plug space underneath here is 4.5 inches in diameter, and that plug is exactly centered with the aluminum plate, which is 6 inches square. And they can take then and cut the carpet and tuck it underneath in this little space here, and it'll look like it all just grew together. I like this one better.
Well, come around. If you can get that, hooray. You reach over. I can't. I'm too short to reach. Okay, you're working off of my effort there. All right, don't hurt my fingers. Don't hurt my fingers.
Okay. We finished our installation of the handrail here, and it is ready for the homeowners to put their finish of choice. Either a good oil finish or a lacquer, just so it's not paint, not paint. Well, now you've seen us take a piece of the woods and turn it into a piece for your home. Next time on A Piece of the Woods, we are going to complete this stairway. Now we're going to be measuring and installing the rail going down the stairway here. A little more complicated, but until then, go find your treasure, find yourself a piece of the woods.
For a copy of this episode, or for questions and information, go to www.apieceofthewoods.com. Closed captioning for A Piece of the Woods is made possible by Schroeder Log Home Supply, providing for the log builders for 20 years. Underwriting for A Piece of the Woods was brought to you by Tenonizer Technology, 25 years providing the log industry equipment and techniques to simplify perfection. Great Woods Cabinetry, providing custom cabinetry and more to the Twin Cities and now everywhere, from online to on-site. From Minnesota, an online resource for log enthusiasts. And Quality Manufacturing, building quality portable sawmills is in their reputation.